Saints preseason has concluded, and the Broncos take down New Orleans in preseason week 3. The Saints finish with a preseason record of 0-2-1, and in this video, I'm going to give you my winners and my losers from this matchup preseason week 3. We were live yesterday for 5+ hours breaking down this game, having a great time talking about it, and we're going to be live every single game day, so I hope you subscribe. And before we dive into my biggest winners and who I think ultimately won the quarterback battle, name a player you think the New Orleans Saints will cut. We have roster cutdown day coming right around the corner on Tuesday. A lot of changes will be made, so let me know who you think will be cut by the Saints. Let's start off first with Tyler Shough. I believe he did enough to win the QB battle. In preseason week 3, he had a much better day than Spencer Rattler, and so for that reason, I think Tyler Shough should be the QB1. Rattler, I will give game 1. Shough, I will give game 2. And then game 3 also will go to number 6, in my opinion. We can pull up the production from both of these players side by side in this preseason. Ultimately, Tyler Shough has the better numbers. The passer rating or the QB rating, a little bit favors Spencer Rattler, but ultimately the raw production favors Tyler Shough. Worth noting, Spencer Rattler did have some good reps on the ground as a rusher, but Tyler Shough added a rushing touchdown to this total. So the New Orleans Saints see both passers finish with 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. Shough had more passing yards, and Shough had a rushing touchdown. So ultimately, in my opinion, I think Kellen should name Tyler Shough the QB1, but I do not think that you should count out Spencer Rattler because I still think he could be named the starter if Kellen Moore decides we feel more comfortable sending this guy out there for the first few weeks. We don't think Tyler Shough is quite ready to start in a regular season matchup. Maybe that's where this will go. In my opinion, I thought Rattler was leading the QB battle before we got to this matchup, but after it ended and as we leave the preseason and head into the regular season, in my opinion, I think Tyler Shough should have been named QB1 after the game. Kellen Moore has not named a QB at the time of filming this video. If one has been named, we will have already made a video on the channel, but if one has been named, just kind of disregard this whole section because obviously there's a QB being started. I think it should be Tyler Shough. Spencer Rattler, though, has made a strong case throughout the summer and throughout the preseason. Biggest winners, obviously Tyler Shough. He is a winner in my personal opinion. He had a pretty productive day. Did have a strip sack that ultimately fell Denver's direction, but he responded well to that adversity and to that bad play with a rushing touchdown. I thought that he led a really, really good drive down the field, was effective throwing the ball, was effective with his legs, got some help with the running backs especially, but ultimately Tyler Shough I thought was impressive. I don't think either of these quarterbacks did a ton to really solidify, I don't think either of these guys did a ton to truly solidify themselves to be the QB1. I think Tyler Shough did just enough, though, to win that battle. Also considering the fact that this is Kellen Moore's draft pick. He's the 40th overall selection. I think you got to roll with the money. I think you should roll with Tyler Shough in week 1. That's just my opinion. Maybe it changes, but for right now, at the time of filming this, I like Shough to start. Devin Neal, we're going to call him a winner as well. He has missed all of the preseason because he's been nursing a hamstring injury. Today, we got to see the rookie take the field for the first time. And I got to say, I was very impressed with what he was able to do. Also had 10 yards through the air. Devin Neal, very, very productive for the Kansas Jayhawks. All-time leading rusher, all-time rushing touchdowns leader. Very, very good football player. A steal in the 6th round. It was nice to see him get some good run, get some good reps. And ultimately, I do think that he isn't going to end up making the roster. I think they're going to carry 4 running backs. I would go Kamara, Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, and honestly, I would say Velus Jones because of that special teams ability that he offers. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is another player that I think made a very strong case for himself. We're going to continue to talk about roster cuts, and we're going to continue to talk about the winners and losers. But really quickly, I want to encourage you to subscribe. Like we mentioned off the top of the show, roster cuts are on Tuesday. The roster must be set by then. The Saints, it doesn't seem like they're in any rush to make a bunch of cuts, but the Falcons today, or actually yesterday at the time of filming this video, on Saturday, they cut 11 or 12 players, so we're already starting to see some roster shakeups happen. Be sure to subscribe. If anything notable happens, we will let you know. We're going to give you a video when the roster cuts happen. We're going to give you a video when the practice squad is set, and we're going to make sure you are informed and ready for week 1. Rajon Wright, he led the team in tackles today. Shout out to the Last Chance U legend. Everyone show him some love in the comments. Number 25, Rajon Wright, was really, really good today. 7 total, or solo tackles, 9 total. He was really good at a couple of PBUs. I thought he was impressive, man. I think, especially considering Rico Payton dealing with an injury, he is going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. Rajon Wright made a strong case to potentially find himself on the 53-man roster because the depth behind Quincy RIley, Alontae Taylor, and Isaac Yadams / Kool-Aid McKinstry, there's those 4, but kind of behind that, it's not a ton of great stuff. Rico Payton, I'm a big fan of, but he's now hurt. I think Rajon Wright could end up making the roster. He had a strong summer. He also was the guy who tipped the pass last week that Jonas Sanker ultimately came away with the interception. He's been really, really good. Rajon Wright, Last Chance U legend. Shout out to him. I want to see him continue to be a big player. Hopefully, he's not a practice squad body. Hopefully, he can make the 53-man roster. Blake Grupe is the winner of today. I think he is fair to say he wins the kicker battle. Nothing against Charlie Smith, but in terms of what you've seen at training camp and what you've seen at practice, I think he has been the better kicker. Blake Grupe has been very effective, was good from 50-plus today, 56. He was good from, that was the longest of the day. Charlie Smith was good from 52 today, but I think Blake Grupe is just automatic from 50-plus. He's very talented, very accurate, and he's been really impressive. I think that his development has been really good, and I think that ultimately he's going to be the guy that leads this team in special teams. Really quick, I'm going to tell you who our last winner is in just a moment. It's actually a couple guys. Stick around. But I want to tell you today about Prize Picks. Science Now by Chat Sports is brought to you by Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the whole wide world. Preseason football, it's concluded for the Saints, but there's still some action that you can get involved in. And hey, college football, it's in full swing. Week 0 is here, so don't miss out on any of the action this season on Prize Picks. If you're not familiar with Prize Picks, it's daily fantasy sports made easy. You just pick 2 or more, or pick 2 to 6 players, and you pick more or less on their stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. It's a fun and simple way to test your ball knowledge and turn it into some cheddar. These are the picks that I'm rolling with for a season-long projection. One of the cool things that Prize Picks offers, outside of all of their crazy deals and crazy promos that they have happening all the time, they do season-long projections, and let's keep it real, Saints fans. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows this season. It's going to be some doom and gloom, so I'm going to be invested in this season, and I'm going to stay tied and glued to the season because of my Prize Picks lineup. You can fade these picks. You can tail these picks. I don't care what you do. Just do it with Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups. After you play your first $5 lineup, you can get in on the sports action of more than 40 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Shout out to Prize Picks. All that information is in the comments and description of this video. Run your game with Prize Picks. The first team defense is a massive, massive, massive winner, in my opinion. I thought there was a drastic difference between the first team defense and the backups and third stringers. The starting defense was out there, most of them, to start the game. Alontae Taylor was dealing with a groin injury, so Ugo Amadi was in at his place. They forced a 3-and-out to start the ball game. They also were really good at getting to the passer, getting to Bo Nix, had a couple stops, but then you saw the second team multiple times give up big plays. Even the first team had a couple times big plays given up. But I will say credit to them because Pete Werner was awesome. I thought that Kool-Aid McKinstry could have been a little bit better, but I think that he is headed in the right direction. Juwan Johnson killed a lot of the offensive momentum when the first team offense was out there. Otherwise, I would have included them here too. Maybe Spencer Rattler could have had a better day, but you know, the first team defense, when you see these guys on the field versus the backups, it's night and day. Brandon Staley's first team defense, I actually have a lot of faith in. I think that this is going to be a talented group. I'm really interested to see the pass rush rotation. I'm interested to see how they utilize the different safeties and the different cornerbacks. So ultimately, my winners are as follows. The first team defense I thought was really, really good. The depth got a little bit concerning, in my opinion. In terms of just injuries, I want to kind of just let you guys know what we have updated information. Landon Young, we discussed this in our post-game review or post-game reaction. He went out with an ankle injury. The cart came out for him in the first quarter. He started today's game with Tyler Shough being out at the right tackle position. So that could be a potential big blow to the offensive line. Christian Boyd was expected to avoid a major injury. It's a hand injury. He went to the tent and then to the locker room. Sounds like the Saints got some good news around Christian Boyd. He seems to have avoided major injury. Kevin Austin Jr., he went to the injury tent. I think he's a player who ultimately could get cut. Spoiler alert, he's a loser in today's video. Shane Lemieux, he had an ankle injury. He went to the tent but went back out on the field. Rico Payton, like we mentioned when we discussed Rajon Wright, he has an injury that'll keep him out for 2 to 3 weeks, according to sources. He did not play today, so that could open up a spot for Rajon Wright to ultimately make the roster. Now let's get to the losers because it is important to talk about the guys whose stock is down. Roster cuts. Reminder, it's right around the corner. I think any of the guys that you're about to see are at risk of getting cut. Jake Haener, quarterback, not good. I am totally fine never watching another snap of Jake Haener play football for the New Orleans Saints, at least unless there's injuries. Nothing against him. I want to urge you to not just go straight to Jake Haener and shit on him and say how horrible of a person. Let's remove the football player from the human being. This guy was a Reggie Bush fan. There are pictures of him as a child rocking Saints gear. The last thing I want for him to happen is he goes out and has bad football play like he has, and then we just all turn and be like, yeah, fuck this guy. He sucks. No, that is not what we're doing. Jake Haener, although he is not a QB1, maybe not even a QB2, I do think he could potentially offer something as a QB3. Has a very high football IQ. Just because you have the high football IQ doesn't mean it actually translates to good production on the field, though. But for Jake Haener, I can confidently say I'm good seeing him play football unless there's some severe injuries. And if he's playing football, something's probably going wrong. I will say he might be a guy who could get traded. Maybe the Saints try to recoup a 7th-round pick that they traded away for Devon Godshaw. Maybe the Saints can get one in return for Jake Haener. Hunter Deckers was a guy that Saints brought in. He's been up and down and off the roster, on and off the roster, as a left-handed practice squad quarterback. Maybe he is a guy who could potentially be the QB3. Jake Haener is done in New Orleans. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I want to say, first of all, just shout out to Jake for being a Saints fan coming into this. I wish this all would have worked out better for him, but he is just not a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Kevin Austin Jr., look, he led the team in receiving today, not by much, but he led the team in receiving. I don't think that should at all keep him on the roster. I'm just going to say it. I don't think the Saints have a great receiving core. Kevin Austin Jr. does not need to be a part of that core. 3 catches, 34 yards on 6 targets today. Feels like he has been dropping passes all preseason long. I'm going to just flat out say I'd rather keep around Devon Vele or I don't even know, man. I'm going to be honest. 6 receivers. Let's play this game. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks all make the roster. Devon Vele, you traded for him. He's going to make the roster at 6'5", 210 pounds. Then you have decisions to make. Wait, did I say Rashid Shaheed? Yes. You have decisions to make with Ced Wilson. You have decisions to make with Mason Tipton. I think Tipton makes the roster. But is it Ced Wilson? Is it Kevin Austin Jr.? Dante Pettis? Bayless Jones? What do you do with that spot? I don't think Kevin Austin Jr. needs to be a game day roster guy. I think he needs to be a practice squad player at best. He was effective last year for the Saints whenever his number was called, when injuries decimated the wide receiver room. But in terms of this week, he's a loser in my opinion. In terms of this preseason, I just haven't been thoroughly impressed with him, to be just straight up. Going to be honest. Isaiah Foskey, he is a recurring member on this list. Look, there were a couple times today that he almost came away with a play. But ultimately, he did not. 2 tackles on the day, not great. Isaiah Foskey is a player who I think is at big, big risk of losing his roster spot to Yashin Davis, the UDFA out of Wake Forest, or Fadil Diggs, 7th-round pick out of Syracuse. I think both of those players have been more impressive than Isaiah Foskey, and if it's me, I'm taking one of those 2 guys to be on the roster. It's really disappointing, and it's really upsetting considering Isaiah Foskey was a 40th overall selection a couple of years ago, all-time sack leader for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He just has not panned out in the NFL, and I thought that the changes to the defensive scheme, a more modern approach where he can be a stand-up edge rusher, I thought that he would be much better, especially with the hiring of Bo Davis and some of the other changes to the D-line coaching staff. Hasn't made much of a difference, if you ask me. So, in my opinion, I think Isaiah Foskey will ultimately end up being cut from this roster. So that's a player that I think has played his last snap for the black and gold. Who's a player you think the Saints will cut? Let me know in the comment section. Reminder, Tuesday, roster cut downs. Monday, we're going to give you guys some more updates and some more news. And if there are any changes that happen, we will probably have already made a video on the channel, or we're already working on one. So be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. And Hear That Nation, I appreciate y'all for rocking and rolling with us. The preseason was absolutely amazing. We've had some record-setting watch parties for the preseason. And guess what? Week 1 will be here before you know it, and we aren't going anywhere. Good, bad, or ugly, we will be here every single day, every single snap, every single week, no matter what. And if you're a diehard Saints fan and that's your jam, like the video, subscribe, give me a follow on social media, and y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.